That's just a fancy title for how to approach your first MCP build. Oftentimes क्या होता है कि we get on a project, but we actually don't know where to start. What should be your starting point? What all things you need before you start implementing the project? So we'll be covering all of these things one at a time. But before doing that, let's actually cover the introduction side of personalization. What actually personalization is and what does it mean in this industry? All right. Before that, quick introduction. My full name is Ajay Singh Shekhawat. I am a Salesforce consultant with over 2 years of experience in marketing cloud domain. I've been working with Horizontal from past 2 years now, and this is where I started my Salesforce journey, to be precise. And my co-host for the day will be Harshit.
Hello everyone, good morning. So my name is Harshit Goyal, and I'm working here at Horizontal as a Salesforce consultant from past 2 years. I have majorly worked on Sales Cloud, Experience Cloud, and I've done few of the projects on this Marketing Cloud personalization. So I'll be helping you guys out to know a little bit about how you can approach your Marketing Cloud personalization projects, and I hope this will be helpful to you.
All right, before we even start, a small request to all of you. Could you please scan this QR and fill out a form? We'll see at the very end what happens. No, we will not spam you, don't worry. It's purely for this session only. If you get any message or email from Horizontal, it's not from me. So just let me know once you have done. All right, good. If you're not able to scan, you can use that. I'll move ahead, guys. All right. Does that work for everyone? Yes. Okay, cool. Okay, so starting with the main agenda for the day, what is personalization? When we talk about personalization, we can say that when we tailor something to meet the end user's need, specific to them, on the basis of their interest, affinity, behavior, or any tracking history that we are able to capture, and if you're able to use all of that data and modify and personalize the content, messages, email, notifications, it could be anything. That is what you call personalization, right? So before even talking more about personalization, let's first look at a scenario. Personalization is not customization. Those two things are often confused and mixed, but those two things are very opposite to each other. So what are the major differences between these two? Personalization relies on data, whereas customization requires you to input the data. Whereas in personalization, no user interference is required. You can freely browse the website. You don't have to manually do anything. Whereas in customization, you have to manually do. I want my Outlook to look like this. I have to do this. I have to create a folder where I can get all my client emails under one folder. That is, you have to do that manually, and that comes under customization. It's not personalization. You are manually doing it. Don't mix these two things together. That's the main thing. Before I even start, I want to gauge you all into one small, I have 2-3 slides to see what your opinion of personalization is. Do you think that Spotify personalizes the content as per your needs? Anyone? कौन बोलेगा फिर? या फिर ये इसका यूज़ करना पड़ेगा? Anyone? Name please. Hi Sonia.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I actually don't use, but my daughter uses it, and she is very concerned that whatever the music she has just personalized for herself. She should get the recommendations for the season altogether. Yes.
You get recommendation. I don't get recommendation. जब Spotify block था तब मैंने account बना लिया और अब इंडिया में आ गया तो मेरा उस email से बंद हो गया. But that is actually correct. Spotify does use your data, and it personalizes on basis of that. So if you're listening to jazz genre in Hindi, you often get recommended jazz genre in English or any other language in that context. So yes, Spotify does personalizes the content on basis of your affinity, and This is personalization because it does not require any user input from your end. You just have to do all the actions that you're doing while you open the app or while you visit their website, and it personalizes the content on basis of that. Next example, do any of you think that Lifestyle or any other shopping malls like Shopper Stop or Big Bazaar, or do they personalize content as per you? Anyone? Yes, yes, कौन बोला सबसे पहले? Could we know your name, please? Mrityunjay. Hello, Mrityunjay.
So whenever we any certificate or any events are whenever we see product, they start showing the product similar to that. It is like for personalization. So whenever you see Adidas shoe, they will show you. You will see one single. They will show you multiple, the same product. So that they will buy. Their main target will be selling on the product. So they will start showing the product. At least they want their product to be sold. So the same they will be showing. That's like selling the lifestyle.
Thank you for that, Mrityunjay. Flipkart and Amazon do personalize the content, that is true, but we are sticking to a very confined genre, that is lifestyle or any other shopping method that could be your Shopper Stop. Anyone else who has different opinion or in regards to particular lifestyle only, does it personalize content to your needs or not? Anyone? Yes, किसी बहुत सारे ने बोला था. अब कोई नहीं आएगा. Alright, let's prove you all wrong. मेरा तो खर्चा हो गया और विकास से रीइंबर्स कराना पड़ेगा. मैंने लाइफस्टाइल में टी शर्ट खरीदी, उसके बाद मैं वेबसाइट पे गया, मैंने वही ईमेल नंबर वही फ़ोन नंबर से रजिस्टर किया, but the content was not personalized as per my needs. So oftentimes what happens is you go to offline store, you purchase 3 or 4 jeans. Oftentimes हम लोग क्या करते हैं, शॉपर स्टॉप से I usually buy footwear from Shopper Stop. But even if I visit their website after months, the content is not personalized as per their needs. So this is where lifestyle is obviously lagging behind. Flipkart and Amazon do heavily rely on personalization, and that is good for them. It's serving them, it's serving their business, but lifestyle does not. So that was one example of lifestyle. 2 more examples, yes, no, maybe, real quickly. Are restaurants aligned with personalization? No? True. Oftentimes we go over there, we scan the QR code, khana order kiya, pizza order kiya. Next time you go, you again scan the QR code and you get the same menu. भाई मैं 4 बार से थाली में आके राजस्थानी थाली खा रहा हूँ तो मेरे को क्यों साउथ इंडियन दिखा रहा, वो वाली बात है. And Netflix and all other platforms are heavily relied. That's good. So what are we going to discuss today? The main agenda. How do you actually approach your implementation? When a project comes in, what all things should be taken care of beforehand, during the implementation, and after the implementation? First, we'll talk about little bit about personalization overview in regards to marketing cloud personalization. That is your interaction studio. Then we are going to how to align business goals with personalization. And at the last, we'll have implementation. All right. So personalization overview. So marketing cloud personalization is a real-time personalization and interaction management solution that is part of your marketing cloud bundle. ये तो हो गई किताबी definition. अब होता क्या है? So marketing cloud relies heavily on data. It gathers insights. It can activation पे चलो बाद में बात करते हैं. So let's say a user comes on your website and he's interacting with different pages. So what happens is you can capture all that data inside Marketing Cloud and use that data, and you can use AI algorithms, machine learning algorithms on that data to generate or to personalize the content as per the user's need. How we can do that? Let's take another example. Let's say I visited a website. I read 3 to 4 blogs related to leadership development. All right. Now what happens is next time when I come on the website, I should be seeing more of the same content. And that makes sense because if I'm not aligned to different topics, why am I seeing those content? So same is the case with personalization. You capture the data, you use that data, you generate insights on that data, you use AI and machine learning algorithms on that data. That is already predefined by Salesforce. You just give them a set of rules, and then the content is personalized as per your needs. So what's the biggest challenge that we have right now? As we have already seen with the lifestyle example, data is there, but it's disconnected. It sits in silos everywhere. You cannot access that data. If you cannot access that data, then why do you actually need that data? अभी फॉर्म भरवा है तो हम लोग लास्ट में उसको यूज़ करेंगे. Similarly, you have all sorts of data. You have web behavior, you have email provider data, you have commerce data, you have data sitting in AWS, you have data sitting in your different warehouses, but you're actually not using it. So what happens due to this is it creates an anonymous purview of user. You actually don't know what to show them, what to sell them. If you're not doing this, you're lagging behind in market. There are companies, there are providers which are using this data to generate more insights, to provide more relevant content, and they are serving their customer well, and this is how they actually retain their customers. ये तो हो गई challenge. और इसकी वजह से होता क्या है? It often results in bounce rate of customers. People will come on your website, but if they don't find relevant products, if I am bugged to buy a course, I am seeing the ad constantly. If I visit their website, I am seeing the same blog. I will be more affined, or I will be more confined to buy that product than any other, because मेरे को लगेगा कि नहीं यार, this might serve my purpose well. So this is how you do that. Alright, so how Interaction Studio addresses this challenge? So this is the most common picture. I think those who have worked on personalization must have seen this before. What Interaction Studio does is it listens to your data. It can be through various sources. You can manually feed the data. You can rely on your website data. You can use data from different sources. You have many different connectors available, integrations available that can be fed into Marketing Cloud and into Interaction Studio, to be precise. And then Interaction Studio rules, it works on them, and then Interaction Studio acts on that data to personalize the content as per the user's need. All right, any questions till now? Personalization overview. Will not be jumping much into it because the main aspect of this session is to, learn about the implementation approach more rather than focus on introduction of personalization. Yes, Bhupan?
Any example of any companies who are using the on-store data to personalize on their websites?
I'll repeat his question. So he's asking that, are there any offline stores or companies that actually use this data to personalize your content? So Adidas is one. I don't have the exact example for Adidas, but I do have a very fantastic example, and that is of basketball. It's a franchisee and it's an NBA team, Orlando Magic. And so what they do is, when somebody walks in and their customers or their audience is watching the match, they are confined to fill a form that for when they buy the ticket, they have several different options, right? That first name, last name, email, and what are your interest. So on basis of that, when they enter the arena to watch the match, during those games, they get a push notification. They already have the app installed. Orlando Magic app is installed on their mobile phones, and they get a push notification stating that they have an offer for hot dog. Because last time they bought a hot dog from their offline store, they are running the same thing for that customer. And every other customer gets a different notification on the basis of their interest or their affinity. So this is how some of the companies are there, some of the franchisees are there who are using offline store data to actually personalize the content. All right, so the main agenda that we are talking about is implementation. So we have divided implementation in 5 different phases. First will be your discovery. Second will be your blueprint development, one of the most important part before actually starting the development. Then we have the build part, and then we have QA, and then we have deployment. So first we'll talk about discovery part of the session. So align business goals with personalization. Before you actually do anything, before you even start any other project, we often go on discovery with client. We try to understand their requirement. What is it that they are trying to build? What purpose are they trying to solve? So the first thing before any project implementation is know your client. What are their primary objectives? What business objective is there? What problem are they trying to solve? Are there current problems that can be solved using Interaction Studio? Yes, no, try to understand that. Try to understand their business more and more. Are there specific parts of customer journey that needs improvement? One example could be, every website shows a banner, but it's not personalized, right? So that could be your starting point. You give examples to your client to make them feel comfortable and make them understand that, all right, this can be personalized. So when you give them one example, the brain starts to think more, and they'll give you scenarios on their own that, all right, this needs to be taken care of. We have a customer journey moving. We know that our customers move from this stage to this stage to this, and this is how they are moving. So this can be improved, and this is where Interaction Studio could come in. So what are your most important engagement channels? Interaction Studio can personalize on website, it can personalize on mobile, it can personalize your app, provided the company uses, they have an application and they have configured the web SDK for the same, mobile SDK for the same. So try to understand how they want the content to be personalized. It can be done over emails as well, because Marketing Cloud Personalization does offer open time email. We'll talk about more in the later stage of that. And what are the primary KPIs that they are looking to drive through Interaction Studio? And it could be, let's say a company comes in and says that I want to increase the t-shirt revenue by 30%. This could be a KPI for any company. How do you do that? Let's say when somebody is visiting your website, and the moment they think that I should exit the website, and the moment they are hovering to exit, exit intent pop-up comes in and says that flat 30% discount is running on websites. So this can be one way to increase specific KPIs for specific products. You know that these products are not selling. Do something, personalize the content on that particular level, and show it to your user. So this will be a more generic. So this is not confined to any user or segment. The pop-up will be shown to everybody because you want to increase KPIs for your t-shirt sales. So this is how you do that. Lastly, we have which and what audience is most critical to your business. So every business has a set of audience defined already. We know that if I am selling hiking shoes, I should not be targeting people over 60. I know that they're not going to go hiking. I should be targeting somewhere between 20 to 30 age group, because I know that these are the people who are most likely to go for hiking. So this is how you segment your audience beforehand, before you actually develop, before you start your implementation, that these are my important segments. How can I personalize my content as per their needs? So this is how you do that. And next we have is understand the customer. The second most important, first you have to understand your client. Who is your client? What business are they trying, and what problem are they trying to solve through their business, and how Interaction Studio can actually help to solve that problem. Next, we have to understand the customer. Understand different categories of customer we have already talked about. And next could be establishing a customer persona is very important. It can be through segments, it can be through their affinity. We know that oftentimes people comes on Haldiram's website and they are affined to buy bhujia more, right? Why are you trying to sell them biscuits? I mean, show them content which they are already buying and increase your sales on that. So this could be one area where you focus on their interests and preferences more and more. And next we have when Interaction Studio sits on top of your website, track everything you can. Harshit will be taking more about how to do that, but everything you have, you rely on data, try to capture each and every touch point of every customer, let that data sit in, and then you can decide how do you utilize that data. All right. Now we'll talk about the second part of a session, that is the blueprint development. Now blueprint development is by far the most important thing before you even start implementing your project, because this is where you map out everything. Right. Over to you, Yash.
Good. Hello. Am I audible? Yes. Yeah. So till now Ajay has told you that what does personalization mean, right? and how we can gather customer insights and how these insights can help a business turn their revenues, right, and help them grow. So we'll be talking about blueprint development now. So before we talk about blueprint development, or we start developing or implementing personalization on any website, right? We need to understand how a website is structured and to analyze that and to map all these things with the marketing cloud personalization components. We have prepared a blueprint, right? So this is not a generic one, right? So everyone implementing marketing cloud personalization can have a different approach. But usually we follow this approach, so I'll be presenting on this. So when it comes to marketing cloud personalization, we have a few key components where we store the user interactions and the user data. So first of all, we have this user attribute. So anyone among you, what you can like define or what comes to your mind when I say user attributes?
It can be gender or weather condition.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Anyone else?
Geographic location as well, all information regarding the
Yeah. So yeah, that's correct. So it's basically the pointers or personally identifiable information of any customer coming to your website, coming to your digital touchpoint. It can be first name, last name, email address, phone number, company name, gender, their date of birth, and all these things. So while defining these key points or personally identifiable information, you need to understand what your business is. So suppose for a B2B purposes, the company name could be useful. But when it comes to a B2C, then the first name, last name, email address, or phone number can be useful, right? So as Ajay earlier told you that he went to a lifestyle store, right? And he purchased a t-shirt. And there he gave his email address, his mobile number, right? But when he went again to the digital touchpoint of lifestyle, that is digital website of that lifestyle, he wasn't able to see the personalized content. Why it was? Because Ajay gave his number and email address. They stored it, but they didn't use it to stitch the Ajay's user again when he was coming to the website. So for these things, user stitching. So we have in the digital era, you have laptops, you have mobiles, you have offline stores, right? You have multiple touch points, and the data is collected everywhere. So you should have a key identifier. So when it comes to a customer, the key identifier could be your email address, right? So the email address will remain unique for every user. So while setting up the attributes, we need to make sure that we at least select one or more such attributes which are uniquely identifiable, right? Then second comes the page types. So basically, in this presentation, we are focusing on the website personalization, right? So page types could be your different web pages on your website where the user comes and interacts. It could be the product detail page, it could be the product landing page, or it could be your home page where you have your blogs, case studies. Like, if I talk about the e-commerce website, it could be product landing page, product detail page. But suppose if I'm talking about the edtech platform and they are showing some blogs and case studies to know your interest together, like what kind of course you will be interested in, right? So they'll be using home page, about us page, and events page, or they'll be using case study related pages. Yeah. So that depends on business to business. You have to define those pages, and you have to see like where the user will be clicking and what kind of content they are usually watching. So this can be tracked using the page types. Then comes your content zone. So this content zone is basically an area on your website where you will be putting in the personalized content. So let's take example of the Amazon, right? So when we go on Amazon and we start searching for the gifts, right? We just do one search and it start recommending the content on recommended products for you. Like there is a specific section where they are selling all these things, right? So those zones are known as content zones. And then comes the segment. So Ajay has already told you that hiking example, right? So if you are selling a hiking shoes, then you should have a targeted audience, right? That their age group should be specific and all these things. So segment is basically that group and that pool of users which you want to target, right? So this can be achieved with different rules. So you can put in the rules that I'll be targeting only the people of specific age or specific gender, right? So this is what a segment is. Then comes your action event, and your these action events are basically whenever you are watching a product, right, and you are pressing on a add to cart, right, and you just press the add to cart, but you didn't purchase anything, right? So why it like you went to their website, you were willing to buy something, but you didn't, right? So this is what you want, that user should buy that product, right? So you will be starting sending them emails and that you have something left in your cart, please go and purchase that. So that happens with action event tracking. So we track different buttons and we track user interaction that helps us build their affinity, and then in turn helps us to give them personalized recommendations, right? Then comes your catalog. So this catalog is basically you can say a repository where all your products, your services, whichever thing you are trying to sell sits there, right? So I talk about the personalized content, right? But when we need that personalized content, then where the personalized content will come from. So this is like kind of a database for Interaction Studio or marketing called Personalization, which helps us give that recommendation. So this is a pool of that products and we get the recommendation from this. Now all of these 5 things are combined and all the user interactions are captured here, and recipes are some AI powered algorithms which helps us recommend to the users. So suppose if I went to the website and I started purchasing Adidas shoes, I started looking for the Adidas shoes, then I get recommendation for the Puma shoes and different categories of, like I'm looking for sneakers, then I get different categories of the sneaker, different brands of the sneakers, right? So all this happens is like first of all it captures my user attribute, it captures my email, right? So if I have looked for the Puma shoes on the mobile app of Amazon and then I went to the website, it will stitch my user that this is like Harshit was on our website and he was looking for the sneakers, and now he's on when he's on website he wants to buy the sneakers only, so I'll be recommending the sneaker products. So this is where user attributes helps, right? And then comes your catalog. So catalog will have all these products, right? And through catalog the recipe will be taking that recommendation, and through my action and event and my page types and my visits, it will be gaining that Harshit is interested in those. So recipe basically helps us in these kind of stuff. Now this is like a way we present, and like whenever we go to the client discovery, we take their inputs that what kind of user attributes you'll have on your website. So this is how we label, we keep them. So we have this label that will be shown to the user interface, right? And the name is your API name or the developer name you can save, through which you'll be feeding the data. Then comes your data type. This could be string, number, or anything. If you are storing a gender or anything, that would be the string. And if you are like here I have interest, the interest is that can be your multiple interest. Like you will be interested in buying t-shirts and you can be interested in buying the shoes as well. So that's why I've taken it interest as a multi string, that is an array that you can store multiple interest here. And earlier I talked about the personally identifiable things. So we need to mark that as well, that which attribute will be there, which will be using to stitch the users. So this is where the personally identifiable attribute comes in, right? So you need to look into this like that. Then comes your catalog. So catalog, I told you that it is service or your products, right? So it also has their attributes, IDs, names, URL, image URL, because whenever the recipes will be recommending us the content, then we'll need to show it to the user. So for showing it, we should have the image URL, we should have their description, we should have their name. So this is how we store the catalog objects, right? Then comes in your template. So earlier I told you about the content zones, right? So these content zones are fed with the web template. So we need to build HTML, CSS and JavaScript to embed those web templates in the content zone where we want to send the personalized content, right? So this was a few pointers, like this was a few blueprint things which we use and which we like usually take consideration while implementing any personalization project, right? Then comes your build part. Any question till now?
The content that is where you specified that this is a non-sensitive data and there is a sensitive data.
Yeah, so
So why you want the contact number as a non-sensitive? Because it can be used as a primary key.
here, so because I wanted to keep my email address as a unique identifier, I marked it as a personally identifiable attribute. And if you want it to be a phone number, then you can keep it as phone number as well, right? That totally depends on you and your use case, right?
If you intend to ask that, why are we keeping these attributes non-sensitive? So when you keep these attributes non-sensitive, you can actually use them in your campaigns. Let's say I am storing the interest. What I can do is I can show a banner that, hi Ajay, I'm Ritunja, I know that you are interested in buying Adidas shoes. So that Adidas shoes is stored in interest attribute, and if it is not non-sensitive, then you cannot use it in campaigns. So we have three types of sensitive that cannot be used anywhere, that realize that your data is secure. It could be a phone number. Oftentimes companies do that so that a developer or an admin cannot expose it on website, right? Maybe they don't want their social security number to be personalized on website. So this is where they keep some of things sensitive, then we have non-sensitive, and then we have personally identified. That's
Simply put, you want to see something like, hey Vikas, welcome to the website, but you do not want to see hey Vikas with the Aadhaar card number. That's where I'll be more worried.
Yeah, so now let's talk about the implementation part, right? So for all the SFDC developer out there, so just think of these components as the objects. And now we need to put in the records as well, right? So how we'll be gathering the interactions of the user would be using our sitemap, right? So sitemap is basically a JavaScript code which sits on the top of your website and gathers all the interaction which the user does. So suppose if a user is filling out a lead form or a sign up form, then we can capture their user attributes from there, right? So we need to write that JavaScript in the sitemap. Then comes your page type. So if a user is visiting a product landing page, then how it will be captured? It can be captured through JavaScript only, right? So there we have some predefined functions of Marketing Cloud personalization, which helps us gather those insights. Similarly, we can capture the catalog items, that is what product they are viewing. Then we can define the content zone as well on the sitemap, that this will be the content zone where I want to show the personalized data. Then comes your web template that I already told you that a web template will be the way how you will be showing the personalized content, right? Then comes your campaign. So campaigns are basically like if I am visiting the website, right? And if I want to identify the user based on the gender, so I have a campaign running that we have sale on Amazon, and I know that a user visiting is a male. So I'll be running a campaign. I'll be in the campaign I'll be putting that there is a 50% discount on the products, and while I can do the gender bifurcation in the campaigns only, right? So the campaigns will be based on the segment. So the first, if I have a campaign, under the campaign I can put in two segments, that a segment, male segment and a female segment, right? And inside that I can put in the web templates where, so for the women's the web template would be different, and for the males or the men's the web template would be different. So this bifurcation is done inside the campaigns only. Now we have some best practices while implementing this sitemap. So whenever we want to gather this data from the website, we have two places. We can either look into the DOM or we can look into the data layer. But the best approach, or like the recommended approach, is the data layer. Why is it so? Because your UI UX of the website can change, right? So if that is changing, it should not affect your MCP implementation, right? So whenever you change the UI UX of the website, your data layer remains as it is. So it's recommended that make sure you're using the data layer to capture the insights from the website rather than using the DOM elements, right? Then comes your web template styling. So for that web templates, we need to provide the CSS and the stylings for the website, right? So that styling should sit on your website rather than your web template, that is Marketing Cloud Personalization. It should not sit there, because if you are changing the UI UX of the website, you need to make the changes on the one place only. That is your website. If you will change the stylings there, it will eventually change in the Marketing Cloud Personalization as well. So these are the two best practices which we usually follow while writing the web templates and the sitemap, right? Then comes some use cases. So what we can do with Marketing Cloud Personalization now that we have all the user data, we have the catalog items and everything. So one of the use case could be banner personalization. So whenever you go and you load the website, the first thing you see is a banner, right? And if you have that banner personalized according to your interest, you are more likely to buy from that website, right? So this is called banner personalization. Then we have content recommendation that I earlier told you that Amazon recommends products you may like and everything. That is product recommendation or content recommendation. Then comes your smart bundling. So smart bundling is when you are purchasing something and you are in the cart and you are suggested that if you are buying a mobile phone, then buy a cover and a charger with it, right? So this is called smart bundling, where you are bundled with the similar products which will increase the sales or the revenue of that company, right? Or that organization. Yeah, for the insurance as well. Then comes the open time email. This is the best use case which Marketing Cloud Personalization has. So suppose if I am browsing the Amazon website and I was looking for the Puma shoes, right? And at that moment, Amazon hit an email on my Gmail account, right? And I didn't saw that email because usually we don't see the marketing emails so frequently, right? So suppose I open that email 1 week later, and during that 1 week, my interest has changed from Puma shoes to Nike shoes, right? So the content will be personalized as soon as you open that email. It will not be based on the content which was embedded when the email was sent to you, right? It will be based on when you opened it, right? So this is so far the best use case Marketing Cloud Personalization has. And then comes your info bar. So info bar is basically a strip sitting on the top of your website which has the coupon codes, right? That you are a loyal customer, this is a coupon code for you, enjoy this 10% discount, right? This is info bar. Then we have exit intent. So what is this exit intent? That earlier Ajay told you that suppose a business has a large stock of t-shirts and they are willing to sell a lot of t-shirts, right? So as soon as you try to exit their website, a pop-up comes in and says, we have 50% discount on t-shirts, right? So this is called exit intent, that you are trying to move away from the website, but you are shown some offer to like made you stay on that website. Then comes in your testing and deployment, which is basically usual process when we build anything, right? So all these things, your user attributes, your catalogs, your action events and everything sits in the data set in a Marketing Cloud Personalization, right? So these data set could be like when you are doing this for the very first time, you put everything in the development data set, and then when you are moving into the production, you move all the content from the development data set to the production data set, so that the testing you did, the user affinity built during the testing will not affect the production website, right? And when it comes to testing, you can test whether the web templates are rendering properly, whether the content is recommended properly and in the correct manner or not, right? Now we like gathered your data, right? In the initial part of the session, we gathered your form. We made you fill a form. So now just scan this, and when you'll scan this, you'll see the banner personalized based on the character you opted in. This might not work for the iPhone users. Like sometime it happens because iPhone is more concerned about the user security, and due to that, it doesn't allow to read the cookie until we have built in the consent manager. So we didn't do the consent manager because it was just a demo. So for how many like the banner got personalized? Yep. You've got the, yeah, you got that?
I choose
Right.
Einstein, so it's showing Einstein.
Yep. Yep, good. So this is what banner personalization is.
Actually, this happened in real time. You could have refreshed it, but then the thought of giving it an end. So that's what.
Yep. So this was it.
Thank you so much. Usually it was time for